Hello, everybody. Hello, Rossella. Nice to have you here too. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining this new webinar on sustainable tourism, protecting nature, empowering travel. And just a few technical notes. Please write and send your questions on the chat. Only speakers will be authorized to use the audio. A video recording of the whole webinar with the PowerPoints, etc., will be sent via email to the participants. And then the recording will be placed also on the website for others to review in the future. So next webinar is going to be held on the 18th of July, which is basically tomorrow, right? At 4 p.m. And it's going to be about Friend of the Earth sustainability certification and update. So joining me today is Rossella Sonzogni, tourism manager at Roncalli Viaggi, a certified friend of the sea and friend of the earth travel agency. So very nice to have you with us, Rossella. Thank you for joining. And so let me just provide you with a few slides about our certification, our organization. Our story dates back in the early 90s with my involvement in the Dolphin Safe Tuna program of the Earth Island Institute. I soon realized that certifications could be a very important tool to achieve tangible conservation results. So in 2008, we launched Friend of the Sea, initially focused on certification of seafood from sustainable fisheries and aquaculture, and then expanded into other certification standards, which include also a good part of the sustainable tourism standards, which we'll describe later on in my presentation. 10 years later, we launched Friend of the Earth, initially certifying products of sustainable agriculture and farming, and then into textile, fashion, as well as some part of the tourist or sustainable tourism certification standards. In 2022, we created the World Sustainability Foundation, which supports conservation projects in over 40 countries. And in 2023, we opened our first Sustainable Friends concept store in Milan. Currently, in over 5,000 products from more than 1,500 companies, products and services in 90 countries carry the Friend of the Sea and the Friend of the Earth certification logos. Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth represent also conservation projects managed by our foundation in over 40 countries. These are Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth conservation programs on a global map. Some of the projects are developed and managed by WSO and the foundation, while others have been selected and certified based on their tangible conservation achievements. But let's dive now into today's webinar related to sustainable tourism. International tourism has experienced in the past 20 years, in the past 20 years, the fastest growth ever, with a threefold increase in number of arrivals. Consequently, other tourist sectors have increased, such as the cruise market, which has grown sixfold in the same period. COVID months have seen a sharp downfall of up to 80%, which was then recovered fully in the next 24 months. It is the right moment to boost the sustainable tourism movement for a better and lower impact tourism. The recovery was full in the following 2 years, as you can see from this more updated graph, with a projected annual growth rate of 3.47%. The largest market with travel and tourism is the hotel market. Online sales are expected to account for 76% of the total revenue in the travel and tourism market by 2028. It is worth noting that the United States is expected to generate the most revenue in this market, and it has reached basically 200 billions in 2024. Tourism can generate some very important and positive impacts on society and the environment, including employment, growth of developing countries, cultural exchange and peace, as well as cultural and environmental heritage conservation. It can also have, however, detrimental impacts on the environment and communities if it is not developed in a sustainable way. Over-tourism is only the most visible form of unsustainable tourism. You can see from some of the most famous places around the globe: Thailand, Mount Everest, Venice. And as I was saying, over-tourism is only the most visible form of unsustainable tourism, in extreme cases leading to fatalities, or anyway preventing tourists from actually appreciating the beauty of the visited locations because of overcrowding. And luckily, over time, the awareness has grown. And for example, the picture on the right top now is not happening anymore. The boats cannot enter the bay, the famous bay of the beach from Leonardo DiCaprio. They cannot enter anymore, and the place can be visited only on foot by tourists. So there is a change. Coastal tourism is one of the most popular worldwide, as 12 out of the top 15 destinations in the world are countries with coastlines. Surely coastal tourism has various direct and indirect potential impacts on the environment. These, as we are talking also about Friend of the Sea, are described in a very effective way by these infographics from the Ohio University. Some of the direct impacts are a consequence of physical reef damage from snorkeling, scuba diving, motorboats, or overfishing from sport fishing and collection of shells and others. Some of the indirect impacts originate from seafood consumption, hotel resorts development, construction of artificial beaches, cruise ships, golf courses, water footprint, and so on. There is a clear need, therefore, for the implementation and promotion of sustainable tourism practices. Sustainable tourism is a tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities. The global sustainable tourism market was valued at 3.3 trillion in 2022, and it is projected to reach 11.4 trillion by 2032, with a growth of 14% from 2023 to 2032. Coastal tourism was the most popular type of sustainable tourism in 2022, and island tourism is expected to gain massive popularity in the future. And here you see the expected growth of sustainable tourism in the different areas: coastal, mountain, and island. But all of them are expected to show a rapid and important growth over the years. Family sustainable tourism was the most popular in 2022, and solo tourism is expected to gain maximum popularity too. In order to motivate companies worldwide involved in tourism to tackle those potential issues and to promote those operators which comply with strict sustainability standards, Friend of the Sea standard setting program has developed, launched, and it is applying new standards for sustainable tourism. These standards certify with the Friend of the Sea and sometimes possibly with the Friend of the Earth seal of approval sustainable travel agencies, which are a key player in this arena, hotels and resorts, public aquariums, sustainable golf, beaches, dolphin and whale watching, UV creams, snorkeling and diving, and sustainable seafood. Several sustainable tourism operators, almost 100 of them, have already been certified Friend of the Sea worldwide for the different categories, and the interest is rapidly growing. Finally, responsible tourists can count on a reliable third-party consumer-friendly certification to rapidly identify those tourism operators, products and services which respect the marine habitat. Among the key requirements that you find in good part of our standards are no single-use plastic, do not touch wild animals, how to approach animals in the wild, don't take anything away from the natural ecosystem, waste and energy management and emissions consequently, social accountability, animal welfare where applicable, conservation initiatives and support proactive conservation activities, and raising awareness. The operators are expected to raise awareness in tourists. More in detail on some of the standards. A standard has been developed by Friend of the Sea for sustainable shipping and cruise lines. Requirements for cruise lines cover, among the others, pollution prevention, no carrying of endangered species, water and waste management, avoidance of whale ship strikes, and social accountability. A standard certifying Friend of the Sea sustainable hotels and resorts awards with the Friend of the Sea eco-label those operators which have undergone successfully an environmental impact assessment, follow an environmental policy, and have improvement program in place, as well as social accountability, awareness, and community support programs. Another Friend of the Sea standard applies to beaches managed by town halls or by privates in a sustainable way. Here are some of the examples of beaches which have been certified. This is in Sicily, the Noto beaches. Noto is the capital of Morocco. And here you see some examples also of how we raised awareness, communicated, and also provided visibility to the certified beach. This is another type of beach in Liguria, which is the region of Genova, for those of you who are not Italians, and on the Mediterranean Sea, obviously. And this is Cala Loca, which is a privately managed beach, where, by the way, we also promoted sustainable UV creams and carried out also a sustainable fashion show. So this is also an example of how together the different sectors can collaborate and help network and help promote each other's engagement to conservation and protecting the environment. Public aquaria are among the most popular tourist destination in most major cities worldwide. So they can greatly help raise awareness on ocean conservation as long as they themselves operate in compliance with Friend of the Sea environmental and fish welfare requirements. To provide you with an idea on how much the certification can help consumers, tourists, to identify operators which comply with sustainability requirements, and at the same time help operators to gain more well-deserved visibility because of their engagement to protecting the environment. I will rapidly go through some images of promotional initiatives, informational initiatives carried out with certified aquaria. This is, for example, Aqua Rio, the biggest aquarium in South America, in Rio de Janeiro, which obtained the Friend of the Sea certification. This is a much smaller but not less important aquarium that displays a live red coral, basically, the rubrum species, in Sardinia. This is in the UK, Lake District Coast Aquarium in the UK, Friend of the Sea certified since several years. Cala Gonone Aquarium in Sardinia, very active also in protecting and reintroducing after appropriate handling the sea turtles that have been found trapped in fishing nets or in need for veterinary help. And the Dubrovnik Aquarium in the famous Dubrovnik in Croatia, and in the Pula Aquarium. Operators of dolphin, whales, whale shark, manta ray, and sea turtle watching tours must comply with strict standards verified also on site and on board by independent auditors in order to obtain the Friend of the Sea certification. For each of these, there's links to the dedicated page or information. Friend of the Sea, in this case, supports the operators, the whale, dolphin watching operators, also with awareness material, both on site as well as digitally. Friend of the Sea has also developed standards for sustainable snorkeling and diving to prevent harm to the coral reef and marine habitat in general, and to allow consumers to choose those operators carrying out their tours in a responsible and sustainable way. Friend of the Sea also certifies UV creams, which is not properly tourism operators, but is definitely something very relevant in tourism, especially in coastal tourism, and has potential impacts. And this opens up to synergies with beaches and other tourism operators. The requirements are very strict and relate also to the time of biodegradation in the water and also the ingredients that are used. The requirements are strict and comprise both the potential impact of the cream and of the packaging. We have also, in fact, developed a plastic offset program, which basically allows companies inputting plastic into the market and the environment to offset its potential environmental impact by supporting projects recovering the same weight in plastic from the environment, beaches, etc. This could be interesting and it is interesting normally also for companies producing UV creams. We also develop special programs which can be endorsed by resorts, for example, or other operators, and help tourism operators in involving their customers, tourists, to proactively support conservation, such as by means of the One Guest, One Tree Planted project. So nearly 100 companies in 13 countries have been certified by WSO, Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth certification standards in the various tourism sectors. We recently also introduced a certification for travel agencies, and Roncalli Viaggi is one of the certified agencies. Regarding the collaboration with Roncalli Viaggi, you will hear shortly much more, but we recently have drafted 4 trips to offer to companies, 4 company trips in Vietnam to help us protect pangolins and explore the extraordinary biodiversity and rich traditions of the northern Vietnam. Madagascar to support our innovative singing lemur project conservation program and discover one of the most unique ecosystems on the planet. In Tuscany to help us restore corals and Posidonia oceanica meadows in the Tyrrhenian Sea in Tuscany, in the Mediterranean Sea. And in Sicily to participate in a project to monitor and observe dolphins swimming off the southern coast of Sicily. These are starting points, and based on companies' wishes, we are able to customize together with Roncalli Viaggi or create these programs in other destinations, primarily where our conservation projects are present. A portion of the trip cost would be donated in support to the World Sustainability Foundation, and another portion will be donated to the project that will be visited, to the conservation projects or the species that, or for the protection of the species that will be visited. The presence of one of our naturalists is optional, but strongly suggested. And the trip duration varies around 2-3 days in Italy and at least 7 days abroad. So this is all on my side, and please feel free to contact me in case you need any additional information. I now pass the microphone to Rossella of Roncalli Viaggi. Rossella, feel free to jump in.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I am.
Hi. Could you please move to the first slide for me? The one before?
Okay. Oh, this is not the first slide?
Last one, yes.
Yeah. So let me fix this. I did something wrong, right? Okay, it's here. Okay, this is the first one, right?
Thank you so much.
Let me, while you speak, I will just fix the mistake. I apologize.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Paolo Bray, for having us here today. As he mentioned, my name is Rossella, and I'm a tourism manager at Roncalli Viaggi Travel Agency. And we are really grateful to take part in this webinar, since that its central theme, protecting nature and empowering travel, is deeply meaningful to us. At our travel agency, we like to call ourselves Gente di Mondo, which means people of the world in Italian. Indeed, we love, we work in the travel industry because we love to travel. And at the heart of every travel experience is our interaction with the planet and its people. And traveling allows us to witness Earth's natural beauty and cultural richness, but these treasures are fragile. And if we want future generations to enjoy them too, we must all play a role in keeping our planet healthy and educate ourselves to do so. And that's why we're here today, to share with you our efforts into creating traveling experiences that encourage people to travel in a responsible, conscious, and sustainable way. So, next slide. Thank you. So travel is changing, and so are travelers. As more and more people are traveling around the globe, the global market is shifting toward a more conscious kind of travel, which entails smaller groups and local immersion and low-impact itineraries. And our conservation journeys anticipate these trends with curated experiences for a new generation of responsible travelers. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as we know, travel has consequences, and we decide to choose positive ones. Travel affects ecosystems and cultures and economies. And at our agency, Roncalli Viaggi, we design journeys that minimize harm and maximize benefits of traveling, so that we create real opportunities for local communities and we help preserving natural heritage. Next slide, please. So we see sustainability not as an option, but as the only way forward. And our conservation journeys are guided by sustainability principles such as carbon-aware logistics, ethical accommodation, community-based experiences, and education on local environmental issues. Next. Thank you. We are proud to collaborate with a Friend of the Earth and Friend of the Sea and World Sustainability Organization to ensure that our conservation journeys meet the global standards for environmental and social sustainability. And this allows us to offer certified value for our clients and partners. In a saturated travel industry, differentiation is key, and we, with conservation journeys, they position Roncalli Viaggi as a pioneer of high value and ethical tourism, appealing to discerning travelers that are seeking purpose and meaning when they're traveling and not just taking pictures. Next, please. So today, our conservation journeys are available for organized group travel, especially incentive trips for companies. And these experiences are meant to create more than just a change of scenery. They provide a meaningful way to travel with impact so that participants can explore the breathtaking destinations of the world, and they can engage with the local environmental and cultural projects and return home with a deeper understanding of our planet. And at the same time, these journeys can create powerful moments of team building and shared purpose and collective growth for all the participants. In the next slide, you can find, at this link, you can find some travel ideas for the selected destinations that Paolo Bray already introduced for us earlier. So if you could please click on the link for us, Paolo.
I doubt. I will go there directly because okay. I did there was some formatting on the.
Thank you.
You see
so
my.
Yes, we see the Google.
Okay, let's.
Yes.
Okay.
The last R. Sea journeys.
Here.
There it is. So here there's a brief introduction of the project, and on the bottom you can find the initial proposals with the 4 destinations, 2 in Italy and 2 abroad. Sicily, Tuscany, Madagascar, and Vietnam. And these are just initial proposals, but everything can be customized based on each company's specific needs and desired goals. And inside the website, you can look at the description of the different locations that have been chosen and their potential for a sustainability kind of journey. And we mentioned the local partners that we're collaborating with and the sustainability-oriented goals for each destination. So you can find all the information on the site, which is in Italian for now, but in case if you have any questions, you can contact us anytime.
Yeah, nowadays Google,
right.
if you're not Italian, allows you to translate as you get in the page. So I don't think it will be a problem. Yeah. Most of the. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for listening and for having us here today. I hope we've inspired you to take some trips with us.
It is me. Look. I assure you, this was a very, very interesting trip. And normally, this is Mario Passoni, is our is one of the specialists that you might encounter during the trip. One of the naturalists that will explain during the trip and maybe in the evening before a cocktail what we have seen or what we will see the next day. So I confirm this was a really incredible experience and a great trip. So I really suggest it also personally. So going back, I think your presentation is finished, right, Rossella?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So I will jump back to our screen, stop sharing the screen. I have, before we go to the questions, if there are any, but it seems like there are, I will, as usual, I will open the polls to which you can answer. So apart from Friend of the Earth that you now, or Friend of the Sea that you now have heard of, do you know, and these are polls that you can answer to. In this case, you can actually write your answer. The others are multiple choices. So do you know some, do any of you know some major tourism sustainability labels? Of course, there are some. So this is just a little survey among us. If you have heard of and you remember some sustainability label, I would be curious to know which one you actually remember. And don't just answer yes. If you remember one, we'd be very curious to know, because that would show that there are some which are more well known. Okay. We're talking about tourism sustainability labels, not for other. Okay. Then later I will show the replies, the answers. So the second poll is: do you believe that each tourism sector, e.g., cruise lines, whale watching, beaches, and so on, resorts, should have its own sustainability label? Or are you more in favor of a generic sustainability label like we are doing with Friend of the Sea, Friend of the Earth? How do you feel about it? Very sincerely. So if you prefer separated, like one label for cruise lines, one for whale watching, of course, the label must also explain what we are talking about. But in terms of the actual eco label or logo or seal, would you prefer one for each sector, or a more generic one to make life easier? Okay, thank you. And then there's a third poll. What tourism activity you perceive as having the highest impact on the environment? This is more like your perception, okay? If you have to consider one as worse, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's worse, but your feeling. So hotels and resorts development, cruise lines, snorkeling and diving, aquariums, okay? And then finally, these are more technical. So if you have suggestions for improvements of the webinar format, or if you have potential new topics, you can just throw them all in here so that we will do our best to improve in the future and eventually go more in depth on some topics that you might want to suggest. And finally, the usual rating. So, this is anonymous. So feel free to rate the webinar as you deem most appropriate. So now while you are elaborating on the voting, and then we will see the results, let me go through some of the questions. Okay, we have a question for Rossella. Can also companies not from Italy organize trips via your agency, so you can do them like also in English or in French or in German. And let's say a company that is not an Italian company, can they also turn to you to have trips organized, maybe in Italy or somewhere?
Yes, yes, they can. Of course, then we'll need to inform ourselves on, all the different documentations that different countries need to travel to the destination. But yes.
Okay, wonderful. There's a question for me. How do we apply for certification? How long would the audit take in terms of time? Okay, so normally audit time from the moment of signature and of the actual audit and certification contract on average takes approximately 1 month. The actual audit itself can be a matter of half a day, 1 day. Let's say the office full audit. But then there would be also needed to provide, additional documental evidence and so on. And the auditor has approximately 15 days time to finalize the audit report. So by the time one sets up the audit and the actual audit report is produced, if there are no major non-conformities, this is the timing. And in terms of how to apply for certification, each dedicated each standard has its own dedicated page on our website with the application form, which is called preliminary information form. And if you have any issues, I've shown you my email and you can contact us. There are several contact points on our website in case you need to have a first Zoom meeting or something like that with us before that. So another for Rossella, do the certified sustainable trips normally cost more?
So it is a possibility for them to cost more because we need to search for example, hotels that that are certified and that show an effort into sustainability. But at the same time, I think it all really depends on the trip itself. I wouldn't want to say necessarily yes, although it can be a possibility, but I think everything really depends on what the needs are, what the request is, and how it can be achieved. So.
And also you customize the trip, so maybe it's customizable also depending on the budget, let's say,
absolutely,
within reasonable terms. So
yes, absolutely.
Especially if it's a company that is turning to you for organizing the trip.
Yes. Mm-hmm. For example, this is why we started with incentive and group travels. Doing it individually would be a bit more challenging at the moment. And but in terms of costs, it's more doable for groups. Yeah.
But just to understand, do you deal only with companies, or if you have a group of private people, you would also?
I think it depends on the request and on the goal of the group, and since that it's so customizable, also the request can be, depending on the request, and if it can be achieved, then yes. Mostly right now we're focusing on incentive trips or just team building experiences. So
your company is very specialized on company trips.
Also, yes, we have a whole office that handles incentive trips and group trips. So, yes, we specialize in that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, there's some congratulations. It's really appreciated. I'm glad. Okay, the person was knowledgeable about the dolphin safe standard. Okay, and thinking about the person is from Indonesia, so really stay in touch with us. Maybe drop us an email. We will also try and contact you if you don't mind, and see if, with the space for collaboration, or depending also on your interest. Thank you very much. And yes, we do provide a certificate at the end of the webinar, certificate of participation. So there's no more questions. It's getting late also, so let's rapidly look at the answers we got. Okay, so major tourism sustainability labels, do you know any of them? So we got the yes, we got the Marine Stewardship Council, which is not really so much dedicated to tourism. Then we have a Green Key. Green Key, you ever heard of it, Rossella? Green Key?
Green Key, no, I haven't heard of it.
So maybe it's more local, but we will look into that. Interesting to know that somebody, and then the Green Globe, Green Key, and Travel Life. Okay. And then Rainforest Alliance, maybe they do also some MSC Cruise, Friend of the Sea, I think maybe that's, and the Global Sustainable Tourism Council, indeed, that's quite a well-known one. Yes, there are several major tourism sustainability labels and the certifications that recognize destinations, accommodation, tour operators, and other tourism-related businesses for following environmental, social, and economical sustainable practices. Major tourism sustainability labels include the GSTC. Okay, that's great. So we have some of the people which are quite into the subject, apparently. Maybe that could be also subject for a future webinar where we compare, as we did in the past for food certifications, the different features of the different labels in tourism. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for your interactivity. And then results. Yeah. Apparently, most people would prefer to have different eco-labels per each sector. Some 60%, while almost 40% would prefer one certification for the whole tourism sector. And finally, what tourism activity you perceive as having the highest impact on the environment? I think that's also interesting for Rossella in general, hotels and resorts. And then almost half of those voted for cruise lines, and half of that voted for snorkeling and diving, and aquarium instead is perceived in maybe even a beneficial activity. That's interesting. Okay, thank you very much. So we will check at some of the proposed next webinar topics. It's quite a long list. I really appreciate your inputs. We will go through them, and we'll try to meet your expectations, try to develop something on those topics. That's really useful. Well, thank you so much. And everybody, the whole audience, we have quite a lot of people today. And thank you so much, Rossella. It was so good to hear from you, and it's great to collaborate with your agency. And hopefully also some of the in the audience will be interested to organize a trip for their companies. But anyway, it's always good also to provide some additional information and generate also interaction and networking on these subjects. Thank you, everybody, for participating, and see you at the next webinar. Thank you, Roncalli Viaggi and Rossella.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Have a great rest of the day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Help our planet with this first step. Follow Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth across our social media. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your follow and subscription helps us spread the sustainability message to everyone. Let's build a better world together as sustainable friends.